We are excited to have all of you gather to the collaborate of sharing your knowledge on the things in Sitecore. So basically, Sitecore SUG Coimbatore is a group of people. Um, we are the main purpose of this group is like more than just gathering a professional. It is a community to build on the foundation of the collaboration and knowledge sharing. Um, so our primary goal is to provide the platform to the Sitecore. Um, Enthusiasts can come together and then exchange the knowledge and ideas and insights and some best practices, and then whatever they gone through some issues, and then whatever the knowledge based on the Sitecore they can share it. That's a main goal to our group. So let me share. So our group organizer, Prabhu Ranganathan, who is a Sitecore architect, he has more than a decade of experience in the industry, and then he is a Sitecore technology MVP. And Gautam Ishwaramurthy, he is a Sitecore lead in Accentium, and myself, Vignesh Jyotikumar, I'm a senior Sitecore team lead in SugCbe Technology. So today's our topic is challenging the narrative in GenAI, untapped potentials of for the psycho beyond the text media. And our host, Pushpangan, he is a known person in psycho world. So he is a psycho technology MVP, and then he is a psycho tech lead in Infosys. So I'm just handing over the session to Pushpangan. So thank you, Pushpangan, for providing a session to SUG Coimbatore. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I would like to welcome everyone. Thanks for joining this session. I would also like to thank Vignesh, Gautam, Prabhu for this opportunity. I was not sure, like I was the first person for this year's session, so that adds kind of like some responsibility or pressure to me. I have to make this go well so that you have a good kickoff for this year. And I also like to thank Skybridge Infotech. I believe they are the sponsors. Thanks for that. So before getting started into the session, right? So we are here. What do you say? This particular session is kind of like for an 1 hour session. So it's from 11 to 12. So I would be connecting from. I thought I will be taking up to 50 minutes for delivering the sessions and stuff, the demos, and including her. I thought I'll leave the 10 minutes for queries or any other follow-up discussions that you might want to have. So I'll open the. We'll have the question sessions in the end towards the last 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So of course, like as we progress, when there is a in the slides or in the sessions, when you feel like feel free to pop in the questions in the chat at that time, so that I can address them in the time. And of course, at the same time, like if you face any difficulty, if you think that I'm not I'm going too fast, or if there is any other technical glitches that is happening, you feel from my side, right? Let me know. Put it up in the chat so that I can address them, and I can accommodate my stuffs accordingly. So before, okay, and one other thing is like I used to be a psychotechnology MVP for 2024, 2025. I didn't apply, and technically not the current technology MVP, but I used to be a MVP, and I've been in and around the psycho industry or the psycho community for almost 9 years or so now. So. Thanks for the introduction as well, Vignesh, because that was really that was very big of me. That was you gave me a very big picture about me, and I have to now what do you say? Keep it up. So now let's get started. So we are here for the session. The main thing is like I'll just give a small like a one line kind of thing. Over the period of time, like in the last 6 months or 1 year, like where we've been seeing solutions from AI in the CMS world. Most of us, or almost all of them, were mainly utilizing GenAI's for generating text and images. Of course, that is the sole purpose. Like that's why they have this Gen AI and the large language models and all these things. But I felt that there is a more to it, especially with the recent or the what do you say, like a year ago, there were some features that were released that has opened what do you say, a whole new world within the AI for a lot of untapped business opportunities and untapped potentials around it. So I thought like let's have a discussion. I did some groundwork around this on the last few days, and I thought like I'll share my findings and have a discussion around it. So, most of us are here for two reasons. One is AI, the other is Sitecore, and of course, the other way as well. One is Sitecore, and the other thing is AI as well. So, the main thing is like Sitecore, it's mostly in the DXP, the digital experience platform, or the CMS around those regions, and how we can leverage or how we can, pull in other technologies, like, for the technical advancements in the core technology world into the Sitecore or the DXP world. I would just give a small, a hint around these things. Like we had the monolithic CMS with the help of Docker's containers, and then with the very big wave or very big development in the front end stack, we started pushing towards headless CMS, and then like there was this. The SaaS wave that happened in 2016 to 2020, the SaaS wave, and then like Sitecore also went to SaaS. So what I'm trying to say over here is there is a every time when there is an advancements that are the and then the key technological advancement that happens in the technological world, right, like in the core technological world, we would have like a 1 year or 2 year follow-up period or the implementation period, and then they would have something over here. So that's the same for here as well. And now coming back to our core agenda, right, a few months ago or years ago, when I was discussing with my product owner, like we had this particular use case, like we had around 10 or multiple sites and with multiple content tree structures, which multiple forms kind of stuff. And when we wanted to when we wanted to make some changes, we had to do it on a multiple system. Of course, we also could use the PowerShell scripts, but every time that means like you have to write the PowerShell script, right, like depending upon the requirements and logics, like you have to modify those things. So that was the what do you say? That was kind of like the seed for this entire the entire discussion or the learnings or the or even whatever that's going to come up next, right? So imagine you're having around the 10 plus enterprise sites. Each site has their own pages, data sources, and the presentation stuffs. And provided they have this common item that can be reused as a typical Sitecore implementation, right? Now, when your PO comes in and asks, like, we need to make the changes for all the product landing pages, we need to add a rendering for a particular site. Of course, we know that what is a big deal out of it? Like, we have a standard template. So once we have a standard template, if we add it and we have a data source, it's simple. Like, why do you want to do it? No. What if that all the product landing pages have different templates? This is just an example, right? Consider if it has a different set of standard templates. So how we going to do it? And then like if that's the case, then how would it be possible for us to give a prompt to Sitecore or prompt to a system, to update all the product landing pages of a Safari website with a new page banner website and include this new page banner for a new product like a virtual reality headset or something as a data source for it? If we were able to do it in the with the prompt, right, and it's not just about one item, it's about managing the entire operations that we do currently in the content tree, creating items, deleting, updating, or adding a data component, or setting up the new versions, all these things, like all these things. So that is the gist of it. And of course, like this is the question which I want to put forth in the very first slide. And do you think if it is possible to do this is something which we will figure out in this entire session. So this is going to be the agenda. The agenda, I try to keep this entire session as much informative as possible. And just give me a sec. Uh, this is, that is it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, cool. I try to keep, sorry for that. I try to keep this information as informative as possible, and this is going to be an out and out, theoretical session with no hands-on or no demo. Don't worry, I'm just kidding. I do have a couple of demos, especially around this place where we have this how to leverage your LLM brands and is there a rule? These things that they are out and out demo, and I know that that's what I promised before the session, so I will be having it. I was just kidding. And finally, let's go one by one, right? Like there will be I'll be discussing about this evolution of AI. It's just a single slide with some four important milestones that I see is the reason why we are where we are now, and then like that is like currently where we are. I would like to address that from an business opportunity and a business profile, and then I straightly wanted to jump into how Sitecore leverages AI. But before that, owing to the maturity in my career, I wanted to compare the different the DXP tools, like what Contentful does, what Optimizely does, or what Uniform or Content Stack. I didn't include Uniform or Content Stack here, but all those things does. And finally, then I wanted to talk about this LLMs and why we are going to use the language model which I chose, and why I used Azure OpenAI, not just any AI or any other stuff. And then finally, we'll be going through the training the data and those things. That's kind of like the core, one of the core aspect of the session. And finally, and then I would be moving on to like what are the Sitecore offerings for this particular AI and those stuffs. As you know, right, in October 2024 in Sitecore Symposium in US, they Sitecore announced Sitecore Stream as their answer to this all the AI questions around it. I know that it has not been completely commercialized. Like it's not like a wide, big set of client implementation partners or customers started using Stream. It's still like in a 2 or 3 months, right? Like January, February, and still March. And you have that you need to have the Sitecore premium subscriptions and Stream premium subscription, and then you have them. So I thought I'll just have a small discussion around what those streams and what they can do. And finally, like we've all been talking about, we all been listening about how we can train our AIs with data and all those things. So I thought, like, why not let's teach our the agent or the AI Sitecore. Like we'll teach them like what Sitecore is, like how the content structures and trees are organized, and what an item is, or how to create an item and those things. And finally, I would like to conclude, the pre-final, like the second before the last, right? So I would like to say what's the catch, like what are the technical issues that we face, like that I face, like does the current technical landscape of our Sitecore enterprise solutions, right? Like most of our Sitecore solutions, does it support directly these changes, like, or if it needs to support these changes, what are the advancements in the technologies, like what are the upgrades that we have to do in the stuff, and more probably, like what are the troubles that I've faced in these things. So I'll just give a small update over that. I've most probably used C# for all these things, and I would want to also say that whether C# is the it's a good language, or how where we are right now with respect to AI in C#. And finally, I'd like to conclude, like any solution is not complete, right? So the solution which I've created so far is kind of like it's that to a particular checkpoint, but what is the next level of things which I would like to do? So yeah, so you've heard of AI. So the last, of course, unless and until the last 1 year or two, if you are living under the rocks or living under the bottom of the ocean, right? I'm sure that you would have definitely heard about AI. It's like almost everyone who's a techie or a non-techie. Like I've had my neighbor, my what do you say, my autowala, and my what do you say, my milkman. Everyone, they were discussing about AIs, and like can you do this with AI? They had that chat. So I think like the entire people, or almost everyone, right, they are aware of AI. They heard AI, and somehow they believe there is a like, huge potential capitalism around AI. So now I would like to address this in two aspects. Like the first thing is the corporate or the enterprise, the business opportunity version, and the second thing is like to me personally, I feel personally AI is the enabler kind of thing. Like 10 or 15 years ago, when we have to produce a show or become a celebrity kind of things, right? You need a lot of you need to have you need to be in small screen or at least in the big screen. I know television industry or in big, but now with with advancements in technologies, we have the applications like YouTube, or what do you say, even the Instagram and kind of stuff. Like you have not so big guys influencing people, or you don't have not a big production company or those kind of stuff to to deliver what you wish to deliver. The main role of any technology would be is enabling the commoners, like bridging the gap between a commoner and an actual stuff. I think AI is also something that's going to do that, and I think it's really an one of the, what do you say, an a cool time to be around to explore the capabilities of AI. And the next thing is like the I would just like to like see the I don't like to, nobody likes, right, like to see a movie or a series just from the middle of it or somewhere after 5 or 10 season or 10 episodes or the second season, right? So you need to have something from the start. So I would like to share some few fun items. I actually prepared all these things so that, like, for the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, like, we have people coming in and settling, so a kind of a filler for that. So AI has been like in picture for almost what do you say, more than 5 decades or 7 decades or something. The very first stuff where it had a very what do you say, where it caught everyone's attention, outside a lab room or something, was the Turing test. And it's about Alan Turing, and that is also a movie in Netflix. The intimation game, or something. I forgot that. Imitation game. You could check that as well. It will kind of like provoke your interest in AIs. So the main stuff which around AI, all these things which we are talking about is, right, it revolves around the Turing test. The first thing is, can a machine trick a human being into believing it's another human? So that's kind of a very, that has a very depth question, like if a machine can trick a human being into believe it's another human being rather than a machine. So that's a very important thing. And I think like now would be a right time for me to switch on my camera and to tell that I'm not a machine, I'm still a human being. And what do you say, it's not an AI that's taking this session, it's me, Pushpaganan, who's taking this session. And now I'm moving fast forward, right? These are the four big events that happens in that I feel is the milestones in the AI. Like the in 1956, and there was this Dartmouth conference. Dartmouth is kind of a place in New Hampshire in US. They had a conference where McCarthy is the person. They first coined this industry, or this what we call right now the artificial intelligence, right? The term artificial intelligence was coined in that conference. So that's why we of course there have been a lot of advancements in the neural networks, transformers, and all these things behind the screen. But like we have in a kind of way in 1997, the chess champion Gary Castro, right? He was the world champion of chess, and he lost to IBM's Deep Blue. So in a way, he was the first, in a way, kind of like first person to have been defeated by AI, our first chess champion to have been defeated by AI. I wanted to have this as a fun fact, because like there have been a lot of discussions around whether AI will take jobs of a lot of people, right? Developers or the IT folks and all those things. So the first person to have what do you say, to have lost to AI, maybe Gary. But after that, there has been like no yeah, it's not like there is no champions from chess champions, human chess champions. So that is always an opportunity. That's something. And from a technical aspect, one other thing I wanted to mention over here is the Deep Blue thing, right? It used a brute force stuff, meaning like it tries all the possible combinations of move before making a move. The reason why I wanted to say is like it has a lot of AI that comes in, right? It comes with a lot of computational capabilities around it, which is kind of around like 200 million chess positions per second, that was there. And finally in 2011 there was this IBM Watson that won the Jeopardy. Jeopardy is nothing like an a game show. That was a kind of important thing. I don't want to go deep into it because I wanted to talk about the actual stuff. And I will share this deck after the session in the session in a Coimbatore website, or in my personal stuff, so that you can go through this and you have a better understanding on what these milestones are. And finally, the next thing is like where we are right now. Like imagine like a few like in a 4 or 5 5 years, sorry, almost a decade ago, 2015, I think we had this cloud wave, and then combined with the mobile wave, like we had the digital transformation, where most of our projects would be around like digitally transforming, going cloud first, and being available, all those stuff and those kind of stuff. But similarly, we are in AI wave right now. The context is like fun fact around this, like I used to work with an organization, and the organization, the managers, the client side, they mentioned that nowadays to get an approval of a particular project, we can just include artificial intelligence in the project document, and you would get the probability of getting it approved more than not including that is very high. You don't have to do anything around AI, but you can just put and then you can get. So that's the state where we are in right now. And okay, the jokes apart, the actual stuff is like from a business or an enterprise or an implementation perspective, we could see that right now there is a consolidation in the LLMs. Like we had this OpenAI, Gemini, and then like we had this Meta models or Anthropic or Grok kind of stuff, right? So there is a consolidation in LLMs, and LLMs are no more just LLMs. They have been transformed into end-to-end business solutions. That's how that comes the application. That's how like the application layer, like what like we'll see the CMSs that are using this AI, and how that's what I'm talking about at the application layer perspective. So most of our this is the final session, before the intro stuff, and don't worry, the next of the things are always is going to be about Sitecore DXP. I just wanted to set the context. We'll be using text models only in this entire session. Like, of course, there are a lot of LLMs like OpenAI, Google, the stuff which I said before, and these are the current. A number of users, right? There was a survey done by Langbase, and this is the survey. Like currently, there are more use cases of OpenAI, and even within OpenAI, they're utilizing for which industry, like tech, science, marketing, and those stuff. So these are the as hard as you can go through this. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this one is we've been using an what do you say, the OpenAI's GPT-4o mini model, and I'll talk more about it when it comes to those things. And one final thing which I wanted to conclude before winding up this particular small session, right, introductory session, the text models or the AIs, right? These are not they are not like they don't. It's not like they understand English or nothing like that. They're just like an what do you say? They run a statistical analysis on how to generate text. Like it's more like in mobiles we have that auto suggestion of text, right? Like when you have typed text in your mobile keypad, and then like when you type like I am, and then it would finish the sentence, right? The AI or the text models are a very, very, very big, huge scale model of that. Like I'm just having the comparison to understand, but it does a lot more than that. But they are kind of the same. It's by the end of the day, it doesn't mean like AI or these things understand the language as the human does. So I know that there have been a lot of the history and the evolution of AI and the models and those things. This is just mainly to set the context. And now let's get into the how these we've seen about what do you say? What are the AI? What are the what how it evolved, and what are the text models, and how the generation of text that comes in, like small stuff around that. So now let's see how this AI is being applied in the DXP world. So the first thing which I wanted to talk about was the Optimizely. Unfortunately, I can't share the Optimizely the stuff. I don't have the subscription, but this is something which I went through their articles, and I've discussed with few people, and then I came up with these things. So Optimizely is most probably like they have this when you have to create a content in in Optimizely or any CMS, they'll have this generate and then text. You can just give some prompt around it, like how does AI work, and then finally you'll have the text generated. So this is the one thing. So and at the same time it can also understand texts, right? Like not literal, but it can understand those things. So by that what we mean is like it would be able to create a title or a heading for those things, and how it can create a summary of those stuffs over there, like an agenda kind of things. If you see even over here, right, they'll have this the blog post title or outline, and then like they have the sentiment and tone, these kind of things, right? In the later part where I show the code, we will be setting these as a property in the code before we send that to Azure OpenAI for a response. Here they have given a glorified UI for it, and then from there they have taken it. So Optimizely, one of the main key features of AI, we'll be able to generate texts, be it a title, description, or summarize the text and those things. We'll have few additional parameters. And this is contentful. Okay, just give me a minute. This was supposed to be a GIF. I finally, in the last minute, I changed that to what do you say? A PDF. So I won't be able to get. Let me open the. Just give me a sec. Let me share the other screen. So this is one of the AI offering from Contentful. The same stuff, it might have some additional translation capabilities. Again, the text you're generating it, you're summarizing it, and then you have you're translating it. These are native capabilities of those AI. So even in Contentful, you have the same features. Like you have the same feature. But apart from this, Contentful also offers a few other stuff which I find it more interesting. Just give me a sec. Let me share again the screen. Yeah, they have very good stuff. Like, apart from this AI content generator and image generator, they have something called as AI content type generator. Like, say, for example, if we need to have an article as a template, right? Like, what would be it would create that a template for us based on the, what do you say, the prompts, which is like, create an like article, then it would come up and then it would suggest, okay, if it's an article, it needs to have article ID, article name, the descriptions, and those kind of stuff. So, maybe then author, because when it's an author, then and then probably additional thing. So I feel that this is a good improvement from the from a routine text generation, image generation, and the translation part from the contentful side. So this is the what do you say, the one last stuff before we jump on to the what do you say, the actual demo around Azure OpenAI and those stuff. See, so far we've seen what AI is and how they are being utilized in different CMS. Of course, I have included contentful and optimizely alone. Even for content stack or uniform, it's the same case. It has an what do you say, an capable native interface and capabilities for generating content, like most probably text and images. Of course, I'm not saying that this is bad or something. This is good. This is really good. But what the difference is, whatever that can be done inside this stuff, right? Like generating it can be done with the what do you say, a freely available Gemini model in our mobiles or any other models directly. The thing is, we are kind of like, okay, that's nice, good, but we want something even more, right? That's what something which we are all after, right? Like we need something more. Apart from generating this text and images, right? What if we can teach the AI and then connect it with the first question that I've shared, like whether we would be able to prompt into Sitecore in the so that the content operations can be done. That is something which we want to do. So let's see if we are able to do. So, okay, to leverage LLMs for a brand, I would say that we have this stuff. We are going to use, I'm going to use Azure OpenAI. So I just wanted to know like why I used Azure OpenAI rather than just OpenAI is Azure OpenAI has access to all the models of OpenAI, and it comes within the Azure ecosystem, so that it provides the security. We know the robust security from the Azure side, right? Like in any three-tier web application, there is a security layer up front, the application layer, and then the network layer, the security layer, and then those things, right? So that is a good security layer it has. So that is something which comes out of the box. Like when you have just an OpenAI, it's just an consumer OpenAI, it's just an API. So, and then like once it is inside the Azure ecosystem and it provides the security, right? It is easy for us to consume other Azure services. For example, in this instance, when we create our own model and we start teaching it, we will realize how easy it is to, to make use of an index. Like, because like once you have an AI and once you are going to train it, or you have to give feed your data source, you need to have the indexes and you need to have some storage containers and those stuff, so that it can have, so that finally, that is also something about RAG that comes in. It would be helpful in those things. I will explain them in the way. And finally, there is one last thing. Of course, we all know about the scalability and reliability that comes with all the SaaS products. But one important thing is responsible AI. There has been a lot of what do you say? In a lot of articles or posts that says that AI, providing improper responses to, like say for example, kids. You need to have some filters around them and those things, right? So there has been a lot of stuff around that, and even for human beings as on the whole, there needs to be like when we cannot, from an AI perspective, it shall not relieve a personal information of any users, right? So that's the stuff that comes in with the responsible AI, and Azure OpenAI has all these things. And finally, this is the last one before I showcase the capabilities. I used here GPT-4 mini model, and the reason for this is it's mainly because like it's cost efficient and how do you say it's mainly because it's cost efficient, and of course there are other use cases as well, like for small level customer support and all these things is good. And the main other important main reason along with the cost efficient is it supports function calling. Function calling is a very important feature. We'll have a separate session over here, like that's how our teaching or agent Sitecore is built upon with function calling. So I'll explain that in the series as I come there, as I get to the as I get there. So let's enough with all the sessions of theory. I so let me share my screen now, and we'll get into the stuff. So in Azure, you'll have this Azure OpenAI where you can create your own AI model. It will redirect to Azure AI Foundry. So you just can create your own resource over here. I created a resource. It's pretty much straightforward. And the cool or the entire action takes place around the Azure AI, the Foundry. They call this as AI. Yeah, they call this as AI Foundry. This is where it happens. So I have created an deployment already, and does it have a data source? Okay, cool. It doesn't have any data source. This is really nice. So you would come here, and then you would have a, you would have to create your own model. Like I'm just going through the steps for a sec, and if you see, there would be a lot of models displayed here. Wait, what? One sec. It should deploy a lot of model. Base model. Oh, it's display. Okay, that is really crazy. Actually, it should have a list of models that it should come from. But that's okay. We can go to the model catalog, and then ideally here itself the model would come. If I go over here, right, these are the model catalogs. So these are the list of available models. I've picked up more of an ChatGPT 4 Mini. Like you can check like all these models and what model, their capabilities and those stuffs. Wait. Okay. So you can pick up the model, like there are a lot of stuffs around the language models, or it also has some image generating models like DAL-E. These are kind of text to image, and there are image and speech. A lot of stuffs to do that. You can go through those models, and then you can understand. If I explain about these models right now, it would be already I'm running late. So let's start with the basic stuff. So for example, this is our what do you say, this is our model. I have created it, and then there is a deployment. So once you create the deployment, there is this the details that you need from the deployments. Like for example, this one, you will have these the deployment details over here. These are the details which we will be using uh, in the code. For example, the deployment name, and then it would have all these stuffs, the endpoint and these things. I would come into that once I reach there. So if you see over here, there would be an the client AP, the client IDs, and the API keys for each deployment, and then you can have this endpoint as well, because for each deployment you'll be getting an answer. We'll get into that in details once we start using it. So that's how the deployments are. And now we are in this particular screen. So this is a GPT-4o main model, which is just outside the just a fresh model. So we can have prompts around it. You can explore these things on your own. You would have explored definitely. So let me ask it something. Do you know what's the So this is just an out of the box model. We had this entire model. They say that it has been trained on all the set of data and all these things. But when we go ahead and ask some queries about, like, we have our Safari or XM Cloud website. I have that information. We'll teach that. But if you see here, it doesn't have that knowledge on providing this thing. And this is where a concept called RAG comes in, which is the augmented generation. Like one sec. Wait. Am I going in a different speed? Yeah, I think I'm in the right spot. Yeah, that the retrieval augment. I thought like I was supposed to share this at some other time, but I just want to check through my notes, and this is the place where I have to share this. So the retrieval augmented generation, right? The RAG comes in like where there will be an existing data store where okay, let me go and do this actually, and then I'll explain the steps accordingly. So right now, if you see here, when we ask the simple but like, do you know where is the home item of the Safari website? It doesn't have that. So what we can do is we need to attach that as a data source and those things. So in real time, how that would happen is like you will come up over here and consider this as a figuratively. We will do everything in the code and those things in the second step, but this is the first step I have to do. So for example, here what I've done is I have created a Word document kind of thing where I contains some basic information about this the websites that I have. This is more of a documentation kind of thing, and then like we'll have like what are the different templates and page names and those kind of stuffs in there. You're able to see my Word document, right?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. I was seeing one
Yes.
particular screen. Okay. So there is this the template, and then there is the template path ID, and then we'll have all these informations and the destinations and these things. We can feed this as a data source to our what do you say, as our to our model, and then we can take it up. Like don't mistake that this is very easy and everyone can do it. But there is a reason. There is a very important reason why I want to do this way before making changes to it. So while uploading this file, meaning while we are what do you say, making the AI ingest our data and those stuff, we need some storage for storing those. The documents containers, and then like ultimately like whatever the input data that we give, it would be converted to an index, and that index, for that we need an Azure AI search. So now you could understand why I went after Azure OpenAI than any individual stuff, because like when once you have this once you have this AI incorporated in an Azure ecosystem, right, you have access to these blob storages, the containers, the searches and other stuffs easily. So I'm just going to give some index over here, SUG hyphen conductor hyphen. It's just, this is fine. I'm gonna have here next, and I just have to upload the file. So I'm gonna use the same file. Open, upload, next. Yeah, no problem. I'll use the API key. The system assigned manual entity won't work for my architecture, so I had to use the API key. But that's not the course of the things. Now we have this save and stuff. It's done. Now what happens is like once we have this document attached, I note this ingestion process. Okay, ingestion is in process, right? And then there is a pre-processing, and finally there is something called as indexing. The reason why I say that is later when we discuss about what do you say, Sitecore's answer, right, to AI. They have this the brand aware AI, where they talk about this ingestion, enrichment, and indexing, right? This is the same as the stuff that we are doing right now. Of course, like once this entire what do you say, this entire process has been more commercialized, right? Right now there are only few hands-on, right? Once you have a lot of hands-on, you would understand that we are doing the same stuff again and again in a different under different name, or with some very minor changes. So now let's have the same question again. Okay, now we had this the same AI model which has been trained for with a lot of open source network and those the deep network, all those things, right? The deep minds, and they trained those neural networks and those things, right? So it wasn't able to answer this question, and now we have this question again. I hope this answers. Cool. Okay. It would have been really bad if what do you say, if this didn't have worked out, right? So but it is simple and straightforward. So now what happens is we had an AI model, and we now provided knowledge around our Sitecore content tree. I know what you're thinking. Like the document which we ingest, we asked it to ingest, right? It is a fixed document, like meaning it doesn't have like in real time. This is practically not at all possible because like we'll be creating new templates every sprint. We'll be creating new features, and every time we have to upload this document, and every time we have to upload this document to an AI. That's not practically not possible, right? So what I'm trying to say over here is let's see over here in the behind the screen what has actually happened. For that, let me go to the okay later. This is the search and this is the storage. Oh my God. Okay. If you see here, the whatever the file that we uploaded, right, in the Azure storage, right, it would come in and it would have been added here in the file upload SUG Coimbatore thing. And finally, what would happen is let's go to that indexes as well. In the Azure search, it would have been indexed to a new index as well. So what happens is here the document is not the matter. Like of course, document is one way of doing it, but ultimately to the AI and the model, index is what that matters the most. So what I tried to do was we have our own the Sitecore content trees and those things, right? Say for example, we have this item, and let me go to the template. Just give me a sec. Sorry. 1 sec. Let me share now. Okay, so we have in our Sitecore content tree, the for each item we have that we have this help, right? So in the help and the help description, we could populate it with the necessary stuff, like whatever we include over here, right? In the stuff, for example, there is a field which is called as the destination field, and this field has this long description. You can enter the destination country name and then the name of the destination over here, right? We can include this in the long description and the short description. So every time when we create a new stuff, we'll have and provide. We can always create custom indexes in Sitecore, right? So we can populate the content tree, the structure, the templates. We can minimize it, and then we can route this long description and short description, and then we can create our own indexes. For example, if I go over here in this index and I don't do anything, I'll just search. Okay, it gives me everything. If you see here, this is kind of like the chunk. We'll note this chunk, like the one big document that we've created, right? It has been reduced to two chunks here, I would say, because there is two different IDs, I believe. Yeah, this is the beginning, and this is the second chunk of these things. So it has chunked the document into two chunks. So by end of the day, here if you see here the title, and then there is the content, right? So this is the content. So similarly, we can have our own custom index, and then we can have our indexing process, and then we can map that index to our AI, so that we don't need to so that we don't need to update it with the document or those things, so that every time whatever the user creates and the content author or anyone creates, or the implementation partner creates, right, it will be available in that index, and then we can make use of that. Okay, so now okay, we now okay. Now what where we are right now is we have taught the AI about our content tree. Like for example, if we have over here, right, the content tree, like we've told like what is our content tree, how it does, and all these things. We've shown that we've shared it. But at the max, it is just a glorified it's a glorified customer support tool, right? Like when you have some query, you try to it and then it get back to it. It is kind of an glorified customer support tool, right? So now we have we have shared the knowledge to Sitecore. Now let us teach it a few stuff like how we can do stuffs like for example, creating an item or those things. And finally, when we combine both those things, right? We've taught Sitecore, we've taught or LLM or a model that how to create item in Sitecore. And then in the other hand, we have the knowledge like where the items are, like what is the content tree and those kind of stuff. And when we combine this, it will be useful in doing all the content operation. Now that is the before going into that, I just wanted to give a small or a quick walkthrough on what is the Sitecore's solution, AI solution for these things. So it's mainly the stream, but of course before stream there is the content hub, and even in XM Cloud nowadays they have this the same capabilities which we saw in content stack or in optimizely, right? Contentful or in optimizely, right? Where we'll have the button that kind of like your genie button or something like that, and once you click in that genie, if you say to create text or create write, it will does this thing and it's there. But apart from the other stuffs, right, I personally feel that Sitecore has been utilizing AI for more of marketing, for marketeers kind of stuff, like for campaigning, for campaign purpose, for personalizations, and for everything that revolves more on marketing. But we are more of a developers, right? So we wanted to keep everything in and around the development perspective, so the developer perspective. So let's talk about stream, and before moving on to the developer perspective. So the stream, as they say, right, it has three major modules, which is brand aware AI, the co-pilots and agents, and then the agentic workflow. The brand aware AI is nothing but like you can upload your brand documents like brand guidelines and stuff, and once that's done, it does three process like the ingestion, enrichment, and indexing. If you remember, sometime before I showed the same thing in while uploading a document for the out of the box model, right? It would have given the same keyword like ingestion in progress, and then there is something called for chunking. They have here as an enrichment. If you see here, the chunking is same as the enrichment, like breaking it into a smaller meaningful information chunks, document chunking and those things. So this is what we've shown in the index, where it has been broken to two chunks. And then finally the indexing, like indexing is the what do you say, the organizing and the categorizing of these stuffs over there. We saw that index as well. And finally, once that brand documents and guidelines are there, you will have this the powerful brand kit that is generated, and then you can make use of it. Like you can ask queries around it. Like, for example, what are the colors and for fonts for my brand? This is a powerful brand. If you see here, this is a powerful brand, and they have these things over here. What are the capabilities of that? And then finally, with the co-pilots and agents, it can brainstorm, and then it can help in deciding the brand guidelines and the characteristics and those things. So it's all like you upload a document. It knows about the document. You can query about the document, and it can give some comments or updates on how you can utilize the do something or promote a campaign based everything that is adhering to that the document or the brand guidelines or those things that we've mentioned. If you see here, this is the powerful brand media social media guidelines, and based on that, it has been giving ideas and inputs. Agentic workflow is kind of like the one last thing before jumping onto the function calling and those stuff. Agent workflow, I don't think it feels it fits under these two stuff. Like it's for developer marketing, brand guidelines. Not just that. It is more of I based on the stuff that I went through. It's more of a project management tool. Like you have the Azure board, Jira boards, and the Kanban boards and those kind of stuff, right? And of course, when those boards or those kind of stuff, right? When it is connected to an AI, it can give you a lot of stuff. Like, for example, but these are already available. When that is Asana AI or the Gemini for Google Workspace, right? You can just give that aspect, like I need to create an what is it? Just you can from a product owner perspective, you can just prompt in a requirement, and then it translates that requirement to user stories and tasks. Like, for example, if you want to create a custom command in Sitecore for clearing a cache, right? You can just type the as a requirement, and then it would create a story for you, like some the story and what are the tasks that could be potentially involved, and like with the AI, and if it has an integration to other stuffs, right? It can probably help with that stuff, or that notification kind of stuff being included in the other sectors of it. But most probably Sitecore promotes this more for a campaigning perspective, like once you have to start a campaign, like how you can promote, I mean, like what are the actions that needs to be taken in the campaign, I know what are the checklists, what are the deadlines, and those kind of stuffs included. And this is something else. Okay, so now coming back to the final stuff, right? Like where we wanted to discuss our how we can teach our the AI, our AI Sitecore on treating those steps. I told you that we make use of a concept called Azure function calling. I have the code. I'll explain that, but before that, I would like to explain this flow diagram kind of stuff so that you can understand what's happening when I show the code. As a user, when we normally when we normally interact with an AI model, right? We call it as a prompt. We call it is called as a prompt, right? You prompt AI to do but speaking of in a layman terms, right? We all prompt each and every day, like when we talk to our friends, families, or our partners or those stuff. You prompt them, like you prompt them like, hey, do you know where is my mobile, or like what are you doing today afternoon? What is the plan tomorrow? Whatever you talk, right? It is a prompt. You're prompting them for some answers or some questions or some instructions. You're prompting them. So that's what prompting means. So once we prompt user stuff, right? The application here, the application layer, right? That's where, and then it connects with the AI model in the backend. So some of the stuffs that we prompt, right? The application layer sends to the AI model, and the AI model will directly give you the response. Like that's something called as finish reason. Like when an AI process, when a cycle completes, it will give the reason for that cycle complete, and when the finish reason is stop, right? That means like whatever the input we've given, it has processed to something. It has, and then for the prompt, it is responding. But there are when it comes to function calling. Every context, if you see over here, right, we are setting while calling the API model a chat context, chat completion option, and data source. So just give me a sec. Let me 1 sec. Okay, I'm still sharing the other thing. I have to share this entire screen. Okay. Sometime before I was saying about these things, right? Like the chat context, the chat completion options, and the data source, and all these things. If you see over here, this is a call, and we are attaching chat completion options. Yeah. If you see here, we have this chat completion options over here. So this is what I would have mentioned here as the chat completion options, the chat context. Chat context is nothing but the list of all the previous interactions that we've had, if we need to give them, and then the data source kind of stuff. Like for example, in this particular call, we would have added the data sources or the search index. The reason why I say that is once the same the Safari or search these things, right? If you clean up and if you come and log into this particular model again, right, the attached data source which you have, right, it would be removed. It's not like this model has this data that you uploaded permanently. That's not the case. That means you have to train, but here we are just augmenting it. So what we will be doing is, like, every time when we send a request to it, like we would ideally be including that in the data source and the context and all those things. So this is where things gets tricky when it comes to incorporating AS to your solutions. And then like remember in that screen where I mentioned about the sentiments, right? Like in here they would have talked about the sentiments. Just give me a sec. Yeah, if you see over here, right, it has that the block here, the sentiments here as neutral, positive, negative, and the tone, formal and informal. All these sentiments and all those things, right, it would be included in that in setting the context over here. You are a software brand, help you find information. You'll give additional information like be kind, or if you don't have answers, like those are setting up the context. And we also have that the temperature parameter as well for controlling how your AI reacts to it. Now coming back to our, just give me a sec. Yeah. So over here, right, the function calling also we will include over here. For example, here I have created that the chat tool option, create function tool option. I have made use of that for creating an create a Sitecore item. I'll go through and then I'll show you the what do you say the debug it so that you will understand more items. So whatever the knowledge or the not knowledge, the capabilities, the features, right, the functions which any AI model not doesn't natively have, you can create a function for it, and then like every time when an AI is asked to do that thing, it will respond to you that you need to run this particular command for this particular stuff, and then once that is done, it will pass the output to the AI model, and the AI model finally shares it with a stop reason, and then finally it goes to the user. So now let's do the same thing. I will just do one small thing. I am not sure if my one sec. I'm not sure if my I'm going to use the Sitecore XM Cloud. In XM Cloud, I'm going to connect this AI. It's most probably a GraphQL call, like where we can create items in create item GraphQL call, and then wait. Oh, come on. Come in. Oh, I'm given enter. Okay, sorry. So we'll utilize that the same stuff over here. Where is the home controller? If you see here, we're just gonna prompt Sitecore into. Okay, let it come. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send a prompt, which is create a new page item named Safari AI. Created this item. I think this item is already there. So I'll give here something as 3, and then like in Safari XM Cloud, where I have used this template ID and this page ID and the template ID I have given here. Ideally, I want to use that as a parameter passing over here, like use this as a parent and this template ID. But for that, there is a small stuff that we need to do in the recursive programming. I'll talk about that in the towards the end. Okay, just give me a sec. Okay, so let's hit it. So this is the prompt that I've given. For example, if you see over here, right, create a new page item named Safari XM Cloud and those stuffs. And let's see how and I'll show you as I walk you through, right. I'll show you like what are the stuffs that I've included the code. I created this as a simple ASP.NET MVC application because I mainly wanted to explore the capabilities around it. In an actual implementation, it would have been done in a different way, which I will talk in the while I conclude. So bear with me for a second. Okay, this is done. So if you see over here, I have done that, and oh my God, I haven't had. Okay. If you see over here, I forgot to include a breakpoint here, but that's okay. We'll have this entire the data source for these things. Like what is the what are the Azure Search index, the endpoint, the API keys for the authentication of that, and then we would have included that in that the chat completion, which is a chat, right, as a data source. So and then like we would have given it some function calling stuffs. Like these are the function calls. Like for example, I have created a function called. I'll show you this. which is for creating an item. So here the name of the item to be created, which will be the create item, and then if you see here, there's the string, the template ID which needs to be created, and the item ID the of the now if you see over here, right, I would have attached it and then I would have sent it to the chat, and by the end of the day when it comes, right, if you see here the finish region, chat completion, the finish region is a tool call. Okay, it's a tool call, it's not stop. So what I will do is, like, let's go here, and if it is this tool call, it goes here, we will handle the tool, we'll take the first tool call that needs to happen. So this is the tool call. If you see, it says that it is the function name is create item. We need to call the function create item function, and these are the function arguments. Just give me a sec. Ah, 1 sec. If you see here, right, these are the function arguments. For example, item name is Safari or anything, and then the template ID is this, and the parent ID is this one. Now let's go and resolve it in the function call. Okay, so I think I will have that create item. Okay, this is the function name is there, and if you see here the arguments doc, this is the argument doc. Like, what is the argument that needs to be had, which I mentioned before. And now what we are happening is we are calling that create item. This is the create item, and it has the three parameters, which is the name, and then the parent ID, and then like the template ID. So from this, it is a simple forward, right? Like, you from this, it's just a straightforward thing, like our normal application development code that we've done. But let me finish that, and our token here, and this is just that the GraphQL query. Since I want to create these items in XM Cloud, right? So GraphQL APIs I leveraged, and then I have done, and I've written it there. Hope there is no error, and item is created. Oh God. Okay, thank you. So if you see here, there is no error. That means it's done. And if you see over here, right, this is the create item stuff. So this is that item, and this is the item ID, and this is the item path. So these are the three things that I wanted to have. If you see here, those stuff I would have returned here. If you see here, that is item, and I returned me the item ID, name, path, and then it's there. So finally over here, right, we would have since I was using a and then if you see over here, right, there is a new Safari AI created this item for SugCbe created in the new. This is something which created like this is the item name. I haven't put the proper bracket or something. So this item is created and it is there in the path. That's there, and that will be the response which we show to the user. Now let's see if this item is created here. I hope it is created. Okay, so it is created over here. So that means like now you know, right? Like similarly, we can have this Sitecore too. Right now, I have added I have created a way for the function calling for creating an item. But when this is something that I've been working on as a side project on my personal time, like here and there, right? So but if you could understand the potential behind this, right? Like you can manage your entire content tree and the operations with prompts, like provided we have the proper we develop a proper application, proper structure with all the data structures and the proper the patterns and all these things. It would be really nice. So the main reason behind that is like so far whatever the examples or the blogs or the articles that I went through, we were able to see how people were leveraging the existing GenAI for creating text and images. Like it will be different, like either it is for the content and then you can click some buttons and then it will auto-populate those kind of things. But we wanted to do something beyond the text generation capabilities of AI. We want to teach AI or like Sitecore or any particular stuff or even in our enterprise application architecture, right? We'll have something for a prompt, and then we can make use of Azure function calling, and then we can control everything from a prompt. Of course, there are it is not as simple as it sounds, because there will be a lot of the development testing and then the recursive, the loop and those kind of stuff, that refinement that needs to happen. But at one point of time, we would be able, I'm definitely sure we would be able to do all these things in a more efficient and an effective way. So that's it. So I parallelly did those two things so that you can understand what's happening over there. And then like before I conclude, right, I'm overshooting by 4 minutes. I'll conclude it in another 2 minutes, right? So most probably I used C#. So if you are trying to use C# around this, right, just make sure that C# is not Python, because there are a lot of stuff that we can explore in this area, like with multi-agent architecture, upgrading the rags and a lot of stuff. So with the C sharp, right? It was kind of difficult because although SDKs and these things they are first being released for Python and later for the C sharp stuff. Even within Azure or Azure OpenAI, you could still prefer Python be your preferred language. But of course, when it comes to enterprise and those stuff, C sharp is language. So, but I think in the coming days there will be a lot of SDKs for C sharp as well, which will help us in developing applications in C sharp as well. Most of the packages that I use, like I use the Azure OpenAI packages for the dependencies and other stuff, but they are dependent on C Sharp language 9 and .NET cores and those things. When you want to do something with respect to XMXP and keep this solution along with your Sitecore sister Sitecore project, right? And the .NET framework would not be compatible, or the C Sharp version would not be compatible, because still XMXP supports .NET framework 4.8 or the latest one, as I remember. So there would be an issue around the compatibility nation over there. And then finally, one final thing is like the recursive call management. If you see over here, I wanted to ask this, like create a new page item named this one, and one second. And using like I would have just mentioned here the home ID I use the item ID of the home, like using the item ID home item. I use the item ID home item ID as the parent ID, and use the template ID of the page template in the is there. Now if I just ask this question, right, the item ID of the home item, right, in Safari, it would be able to answer that. One sec, where is it? What was the other thing? If you see over here from the document and those stuff, right, we would be able to see this. It would be able to get this answer. Like for example, the page template ID, right? This is the template ID. It would say. Now, if we go and check it in the XM Cloud, right, it would be that page ID. Yeah, if you see here, that's the page template. It meaning it has that information, both these information. But if I run this query, right, it will not work. It will return a wrong item ID, a wrong answer, and that's because there needs to be a recursive thing. Like for example, this entire query prompt, right, it needs to be broken and it needs to be recursed. For example, the item ID of the is not in this query, so it needs to run a separate iteration for getting that, and then like for getting the template ID of this, it knows it, but to have it here, right, it needs to go through an iteration for that. Those kind of things, right? It's still the recursive call management, and those things are kind of difficult in C sharp. I mean, like it's still in the development phase kind of say, but in Python, those things are kind of easy to do. And finally, now before I conclude, right? So what next is like right now we created this as a separate application, right? Wanted to include this in the context of the Sitecore content editor on XM content editor, so that they don't need to do any context switching or screen switching. Like in the same scheme and in the same context, they should be able to do it. And of course, like there is a very big question, like whether Sitecore should develop this as a feature or should this be developed by client. It's a big question. Like each one have their own thoughts. To me personally, we like developing, right? So I thought like it's something that we could do, but when it comes from officially from Sitecore, it would have more different set of features, more wide range of for that. What I wanted to do was, I thought we will leverage Azure both services, like where you can create your chatbot, which is kind of end of the day a model kind of thing, and then you can deploy the models in multiple channels like web channel or different channels, and then like you can make use of it. So that's the next step. And right now it's very basic stuff, right? Like creating items and everything. Tomorrow we have to have more of like a group manipulation thing, like so that when we have that question, right, like update all the items of this group, then it's there. Finally, like I did had a chance to discuss this with with the Sitecore person, with the Sitecore person. He mentioned that it was really a nice idea, and well, like when I got to meet him in person, so he said it. But he also mentioned that Sitecore is developing something like this. In fact, his team is developing something like this, and. Of course, like it is possible that Sitecore themselves might come up with a product for this feature. So I think that's it. So we'll open the stage for any queries. Uh, yeah, if you have any queries, yeah, you can.
I think none of us have any worries so far. I believe. So I think in case of any queries or questions do you have, I think you can. I think Pushpaganan is on LinkedIn handle, so you can directly message him, or even you can contact us through the website or the LinkedIn channel. We will also
Yeah.
able to help you on that.
Yeah. So thanks everyone. I'll just see.
One second.
Yeah.
Arvind wants to
Yeah.
get it unmuted. Yeah, Arvind, you can go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. So Pushpa, I mean,
Hi,
when
Praveen.
you were explaining that one, right, and you have uploaded a one Word document, right? So
Sorry,
in
sorry,
that Word
sorry,
doc-
sorry.
yeah,
Can you be louder, please?
yeah. So when you were showing that demo, right?
Yeah.
So you have uploaded a one Word document, right?
Yeah.
So is it something like that? We need to follow some standards to create that uploaded document template, and that will get it mapped inside our code to really help us out to generate the respective response for this
Yeah. So
using this
actually,
document.
the document are those template and those things is it's just something which I created. Like once you have that, like once you have that, once you connect with some models and then you start working around it, right? You will know like how to structure this document so that the model would be able to answer queries based on that. But this is just a Jatka idea. Like it's like on the fly you need to something so that I can do. But in actual stuff, I wouldn't recommend keeping it as a document and including it in a solution because the see document like the Sitecore, the content tree is ever changing. Like every day you would create new items, you make changes, the items, everything will do that. It is highly difficult to include all those changes in a document. So that's why I mentioned that we can make use of this. What do you say the templates, right? We can make use of the templates for each items. Like for each item, we will have that help text kind of things, right? Like for each template, we will have that help text kind of stuff. So in that help text, if you include those, and then finally, if you create that as a in the index, right? If you create it in the index, it will be easy. Like
Yeah, I got it. So, I mean, actually, the reason behind asking this question is like that nowadays, I mean, we are heavily using the GenAI, not in Sitecore.
yeah,
And I'm the Sitecore person, but I will
yeah,
share our one experience, right? So, a couple of customers are looking for, you can say, the converting the application from Angular JS to the Next.js or something like that, right?
yeah, yeah,
So when we create the Angular application, we use
yeah,
the node command or something, and the solution structure is very kind of a standard one, and the same thing is applicable for. I mean, you can say most of the applications will be having the same standard, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
even though for the Next.js, so for there, I mean, it's very easy for us to create the prompts and translate that application or convert that application by using the Zen AI, or you can say the
oh yeah,
using the AI. But then
yeah,
what happens in other places like that? The way of building the solution is not the standard approach. Maybe you are using approach A to create your content tree. I am using the approach B to create my content tree, or even into the solution implementation, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
in that scenario, the generic solution will not at all work for each and every solution, there will be a kind of customizations are required.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really nice, that question.
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. That's still the case. I mean, see, we are in early stages, right? Like, I get
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yes. I really get it. I really get what you say. But I think if we have to come up with the standards, like we had Helix for that content structuring and those things, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we might come up with a standard in the coming days.
Standard.
But now with the SaaS kind of stuff, I think before we do that and come up with that, Sitecore themselves might come up with a solution. I mean, like a standards
Yeah.
or a.
So, so if you get the opportunity to discuss with the Sitecore team straight away, right? So just
Yeah.
put up this point in front of them. I mean, if the solution is created by using Helix and Habitat approach or something, still it is possible to really translate, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, and the another case is like that. Now, I will share the couple of the examples with you, right? So some of the customers are moving away from Sitecore, and some of the customers are coming to Sitecore, right? So
Yeah.
they are saying like that. I mean, we wanted to do the data migration, right? The
Yeah.
export of the content from its Sitecore uh, straight
From
away,
yeah. X
and
to
it
Y
should be
system.
available. Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be available for X platform, or maybe from X platform to the Sitecore. But then again, I will go back to the same example like that. Nobody is following the standard approach to really creating the content into the Sitecore content tree. So we will not be able to generate that kind of a utility, or you can say like that, with the one click or with one prompt, by saying it like that, export the content from Sitecore platform, or import the content into the Sitecore platform from,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, I mean, that's what that was. I was having that question, right?
Yeah.
I'm done from my side. Yeah.
But
So then,
related to migration, I think it's the discussion. But yeah, that is always the stuff. But maybe I haven't really thought about the. I understand that we also. I mean, like everyone, we also face the same issues while migrating and the kind of stuff. But there are some solutions that were given by Sitecore themselves directly for the content migrations and stuff, right? But I'm not sure like how much people were able to leverage that into actual stuff. But I get your point. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there are a couple of modules are available. Those modules help us, but then I was doing a couple of projects or something, right? Wherein I was just doing the export of content from Sitecore platform into the
Mm,
XML or JSON format, right?
mm, mm,
So I follow the standard approach like that, identifying the unique page template or different types of
mm,
components, right?
mm,
And
mm,
then I used to trigger those PowerShell script, and I used to create those things, right? So
mm,
even though if you ask me like that, I can. Uh, I mean, if you ask me like that, I will be creating some kind of prompts. It will be having
mm.
some code will be
Okay.
available, right? Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And rather than executing those PowerShell scripting straight away, so the
yeah.
prompts will help us me to do that one, and it will
Yes.
export those information into the JSON file or
Yeah.
XML file, whatever the format is, whatever
Oh,
the
yeah.
specific location
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting approach as well. I'll give it a thought. Like yeah.
Yeah. That's a from my side. Yeah. But
Yeah. That's
it
that's that that's interesting as well. That's an interesting.
yeah. But it was a nice session from your side. You
Thank
tried
you. Thanks.
good
Thank
one,
you.
and it was really informative for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we are good. Vignesh, Prabhu, or Gautam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was a very nice and informative session as well, and I think looking forward to have much more sessions in the future.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for having the time and sharing your knowledge here.
Yeah. Thanks for the
Thanks.
opportunity and thanks
Yeah,
everyone for joining. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all.